While we continue our focus on the Tshwane Metro here on the Pulse tonight, the executive mayor of the city, Randall Williams, says placing the metro under administration caused chaos. As mentioned earlier this month, the Constitutional Court upheld a decision by the High Court that placing Tshwane under administration was unlawful. But Williams says after the council was dissolved, they had to start from scratch to bring change to the municipality. He was speaking to the channel earlier today.
The DA did not govern the city of Tshwane for 5 years. You are fully aware the city was placed under administration for 8 months. And during that 8 months, the city was run by ANC cadre. That you need to be clear of. And during those 8 months, they caused a lot of harm to the city of Tshwane. Getting back to your question, I believe we turned the city around since where it has been in 2016. With a 2 billion rand deficit, we turned it down with a surplus in our reserves of over 2 billion rands. Again, we had to restart right from zero when I got into office on the 1st of November with a 4.3 billion rand deficit. So there has never been 5 years. There's been an 8-month interruption that caused chaos in the city of Tshwane. And to answer your question about the 1 to 10, I would say we're sitting at 7. We still have quite a lot of work to do, especially after the interruption by ANC cadre for 8 months.
Williams denied that the city was dragging its feet and acting against officials implicated in wrongdoing.
Since 1st of November, we concluded more than 300 disciplinary cases. And I can't understand what he means, no consequences. There certainly are consequences. And the fact that he says not meddle in the administration, that is absolutely not true. He must speak to his councillors, because 2 of his councillors, in fact 3 of them, who are the MMC and also the chairpersons of portfolio committees, sit in my war room every Friday morning. We have a 4-hour meeting where we give instructions to officials. They must report back on the figures, what work they've done for the week. They must tell us, what are you going to do next week? So please, I think you need to speak to your colleagues so that you can be informed before you make such statements. And as far as sitting at home is concerned, there is no official sitting at home where we have not instituted disciplinary action.
The Tshwane Metro Council does look set to be one of the more interesting in the upcoming local government elections. It's run by a coalition with various mayors. It's seen a mixed bag of successes and failures over the last few years. We're joined now by the Freedom Front Plus's Grandi via Zoom, Abel Tau, ActionSA's mayoral candidate, and Virginia Keppler, the deputy mayoral candidate for the Patriotic Alliance. While the DA managed to come out top via a coalition with the support of the EFF in 2016, it will be interesting to see which role the smaller parties play. ActionSA and the Patriotic Alliance are entering the fray for the first time. Well, thank you all very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. Grandi, if I may just start with you from the Freedom Front Plus. Your party opposes affirmative action. You oppose black economic empowerment. How can we know that you will govern for all the people in Tshwane?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity and good afternoon to you and the viewers. Regarding the affirmative action, we are opposed to that because it's not done in the sense that the law actually wanted it to be done. This is black economic enrichment, as our leader called it recently at our manifesto launch. The reason is very simple. People are being favored. It's not open, it's not based on anything else than favoritism that's been done. So we say there's only one way that you can award any work, appoint any employees, and that's by means of merit. If a person qualifies, irrespective of what part of the community he comes from, black, white, colored, it wouldn't make a difference, as long as there's merit in the appointment, and as long as it's not to take advantage of the community where prices are inflated in the case of tenders, exorbitant prices. There's quite a lot of evidence available to see how prices are loaded. One BEE company purchases from another, and so it goes on, and prices are loaded 2,000-3,000% sometimes. Something you could go and buy in the shop for 15, 20 rand, you paying 200-300 rand for the same thing because of affirmative action. Because of black economic empowerment. People are being appointed in positions without any proper qualifications. More than almost 50%, 48% of the financial managers of council, the CFOs, are not qualified for their job. Why? Because it's affirmative action and not based on merit.
So, Mr. Grandi,
yes.
Sorry to come in there. Just on that issue, I think there's no shortage of criticism in terms of the way in which black economic empowerment has been implemented in this country. And at the same time, you'll find that very much for the majority, simply saying that it's not good enough does not address the fundamental issues which relate to the structure of the economy and the fact that by and large black people are still excluded from the South African economy. It contributes to the high levels of inequality that we are still facing today as a society. So how do you then plan on convincing voters whose vote you are appealing for to come over to the FF Plus when your policy position, just off the set of it, means that the majority of black people are likely to stay in their positions because the structure of the economy will not change that state, and therefore these transformative tools become ever more necessary?
How long would the transformative tools be necessary? That's another question I could ask. We've had 27 years of this, and look at the state that this country is in.
How long was apartheid for? Look, the reality is that we can have different sides of this debate, but for me, what I want to know is, what are you going to be saying to the people of Tshwane, many of whom will be raising the very same issue that I'm doing with you this afternoon, who are saying, okay, so you don't want BEE. What do you want in its place? What are the changes, the economic changes that will ensure that the position of black people, the majority of black people in this country, is changed?
Well, first of all, I think the major thing is to improve the general economy of any city, and specifically in Tshwane, so that there are job creation. We must create a climate in which the economy can grow, where there's some stability and where there's a place for all. And that's our mission, to say, let's create an economy for the city where everybody can participate. That's one part of it. The other part, we don't see the municipal council as a job provider. That's not our duty. Our duty is to provide services to the community. But where we can assist is by creating a stable, first of all, a fair economic environment where, for instance, industries can come and settle in our area, that we give them favorable rates, and black people are also welcome to participate in that. We will not take that away from them. And there are black investors who are welcome to come and invest in the city, create jobs for all the people of the city. And that is where we would rather play in that space, to create a stable environment for growth. And that's one part. The other part, obviously, is we feel that local government should be taken to the people. And there could be quite a couple of opportunities and places where even local government can assist in uplifting and also in providing the opportunities for local residents to participate in the municipal budget by creating services that they can tender for in their own communities, and can also create jobs, so long as it's done at the right level and it's done in a fair way, without giving people advantage just because of their skin color. There's many people in this country, young guys, who have been actually now the victims of BEE. A lot of white people are leaving the country because they are not even considered. How many jobs are there that our white guys can even apply for? They're not even permitted to apply for it. So I think it's reverse apartheid, and we must avoid, we must learn from the past, and we must rather build something where there's a future for everybody.
Mr. Theunissen, we have heard from you. We will come back to you later in this conversation. We also joined, of course, Abel Tau. You moved from one party to another, from the Democratic Alliance to ActionSA. You moved from the DA after the problems of 2019, the resignation of Herman Mashaba from the Democratic Alliance. How can we know you'll stay with ActionSA after this election?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and good afternoon to viewers at home. I think a way we will know that one will stay with ActionSA, if that's the question really to ask, would be that I came into mainstream politics in 2016. I had a job prior to 2016, and I'm not a career politician. When I came into the leadership of the Democratic, having led the region of the Democratic Alliance, and obviously later been able to be an MMC and an acting mayor, that should have spoken to the quality that I brought to the table and the ability that I brought to the table. Looking at the kind of circus that was displaying itself in council, I took a sober decision to leave that environment and obviously join Herman Mashaba, because he had realized exactly what I had realized, that the DA, if you read his book, The Accidental Mayor, was not about delivering services to all residents of Tshwane across the board, and it was more interested in ensuring that it served a particular group of people. And with that, I had come into that space, just like Herman Mashaba, to come and make a difference, because I had something to offer in the political space. And I believe that the period at which I have been an MMC and an acting mayor was probably the most successful period that Tshwane has had, because for the first time you had somebody at the helm of the city who took responsibility of leadership and wanted to give direction, but more than anything, somebody who wasn't in it because they needed a job, but somebody who was in it because he wanted to serve the communities of Tshwane.
Virginia, let me bring you in here. You know, as the Patriotic Alliance, you are like ActionSA, first time entering what is a very chaotic city in terms of the voters and how voting patterns have changed, just you know, over the previous, let's say, 2-3 election cycles. So what kind of mind frame do you go into this election having? Is it a let's try it out and see how far we can go, or do you think that you'll make some serious inroads?
We're definitely going to make some serious inroads, Katie. You know, the Patriotic Alliance, the word patriot means that a group of countrymen has come together because they've seen that the country is in trouble. And we came together to fix South Africa from the top to the bottom. Our focus now is our municipalities. It is in total chaos. The Tshwane municipality has been run down by both parties, the ANC, the DA, the Freedom Front, and the EFF. While they were supposed to do service delivery, they didn't do that. They were fighting over tenders. They were fighting each other. They were voting against certain budgets, some for, some against, and they've lost the focus, which is the people on the ground. Our people have been suffering.
Local governance is quite a complex issue administratively, and it's led to some of the failures that we're seeing right now. What have you been doing to build capacity to run a metro like the city of Tshwane?
Listen, we are new on the block, so we have not been in the city of Tshwane. We don't work with budgets at the moment. The Patriotic Alliance has been working on the ground, fixing water issues, electricity issues, potholes. We've brought food to people's houses. We've tried to sort out the municipal bills. We have been actively involved in certain municipalities where we had to basically clean roads and build new infrastructure on our own budgets. With what we can afford as a Patriotic Alliance, we've been putting our own hands in our own pockets, because the city of Tshwane has never done their work. They're not interested in doing their work. And Mr. Tau can attest to that. He's been there. He was running with the DA at the time. We have water crisis, the Hammanskraal water crisis, you are well aware of it. They say water is life, but they don't want to give our people life. They want to kill them with their dirty water, their toxic water. And the DA was since 2017 in power. They've done nothing to sort that out. We say the Patriotic Alliance, give us a chance. We'll sort it out. We'll definitely look at where there is money that was not spent, that was underspent, or where it's not really needed. And we will sort that water crisis out in Hammanskraal.
You say that you govern for the people. That's the aim. You say that you want to be given a chance. You say that you want to build municipalities up. You have one councillor in Nelson Mandela Bay, Marlon Daniels, who kept changing sides and adding simply to the chaos in Nelson Mandela Bay. He went from one side to the other. In the course of one 24-hour period, he changed which way he was going to vote on the municipal budget 3 times and eventually only voted in favour of the budget when Mongameli Bobani offered him a position in the mayoral committee. The point I'm trying to make is, how can we know that your party really is going to build up a municipality when in the one period in which you've held the balance of power in Nelson Mandela Bay, the evidence is pretty clear that you created as much chaos as you could?
Marlon didn't create any chaos. Marlon was looking after the interests of the poor, the interests of the people on the ground. By changing
his position on a vote 3 times in 24 hours?
You know, when you're in a coalition, when you've made decisions and somebody comes and stabs you in the back, then you need to act on that. Marlon is not a puppet. He wasn't going to be led by people that change their stories every time. When they're in front of him, they speak this story, and the next thing when they turn around, they change their mind and speak another story. So he wasn't the one causing the chaos. The people who went behind his back, they're the responsible ones, responsible for causing the chaos, not Marlon.
And let's talk about ActionSA, and I'll ask you the same question of capacity. You know, first time in a local government election that you're actually contesting a city of Tshwane, a broken down city really. Do you have the capacity, the know-how to turn it around?
Katie, look, we have fielded 107 candidates out of 107 wards. We have a footprint in every community. We have brought onto our PR list men and women with incredible capacity, people who want to go out there, you know, and put their shoulders to the wheel. We've got people who are lawyers, we've got engineers, we've got all sorts of skills that you need. But up front, and that is something that we did that no any other party, especially the big parties, have done. Up front, we have put forth our mayoral candidates. In Johannesburg is Ndate Mashaba, in Tshwane is myself. And what we have done to South Africans is to say, we don't want you to be confused as to whether who will be taking responsibility. Because the mayoral position, especially the executive mayoral position, is a very critical post in any municipality. And therefore, that's the person who would be charged by giving direction and leadership in a municipality. What we have done is do exactly that. That we're saying to the people of Tshwane, here's Abel Tau, that we've gone through our primaries process. We believe he's got the capacity, and I just definitely do have the capacity. I have the experience. We have men and women who don't bring the baggage, but bring the skills that are necessary to turn things around. When I left, the city was in a healthy financial position. We've been in spaces where when I led the city, it went through some of its most difficult periods, from the floods to, you know, the strikes that we've had. And I have been tested in the city of Tshwane, and I can safely say the people of Tshwane are safe giving us the vote and giving us their confidence to say, go out there and fix this city, because they've seen what Ndate Mashaba has done in Johannesburg. They've seen in the stint that I've been there what I have been capable of doing, and definitely we have done much better than these other parties can do. Right. That is why they cannot give us their mayoral candidates.
I want us to talk about, you know, what the likely outcomes of the elections is. So, and I know for both of you, of course, you have to put your best foot forward and, you know, talk about the big game, which is getting the metro overall. But when Sussman was here earlier, Stephen, according to some of the numbers he's been doing, highly unlikely. So we're probably looking at yet another coalition in the city of Tshwane. Who will you be voting for if you have a significant enough vote to make a difference?
Look, Katie, we have been on record to say we will work with any other party in the city of Tshwane except for the ANC, and for obvious reasons. We believe that the mess that we currently find ourselves in the country is predominantly because of the ANC, and therefore we cannot be ambiguous about that. So we will not work with the ANC in the city of Tshwane or any other metro. We're willing to work with the DA, with Patriotic Alliance, with the EFF if it comes to that. But in fact, we are happy to work with independents, Patriotic Alliance, and other parties, because definitely South Africans have been failed by the political system. In Tshwane in particular, I mean, we've seen the EFF going, or the DA going from voting with the ANC to voting with the EFF at some point. We have seen a situation where the Democratic Alliance was willing to step Herman Mashaba at the back, work with the ANC, and currently you have an ANC dumped city manager that the DA is happy to work with. So it's a mess. They just want to be in power at all costs, and it doesn't matter what it it does to the residents of the metro. And any principled leader would not want to work with such people.
So, Abel, you've just had a scathing critique of the Democratic Alliance. You say it's a mess. You'll do business with them, but you won't do business with the ANC. Balance me here.
Yeah, look, Stephen, one thing about the DA and the ANC, we all know what we're getting with the ANC. I mean, come on. You know, they've really run this country down, and we are in this mess because of them. At least the DA, as confused as they are, we do believe that people like them can still be channeled in the right direction. And therefore, it would be okay to try and at least find a way to help them. The one thing that I know about the DA is that they don't have the capacity. So obviously, what we will do when we get into that space, we're going to have a transparent, coalition arrangement that people can hold us to account about, and it would be something that can be measured, and it is out there, unlike what happened in 2016.
All right. We're going to have to cut you off there. And of course, Stephen, we still have Grandi Theunissen of the EFF Plus, who's joining us via Zoom. We'll get to him of the FF Plus rather, who we'll get to him shortly. Let me give you then an opportunity very briefly for me, Virginia, to answer that question on coalitions. Who are you likely to work with?
On coalitions, listen, we will work with whoever will benefit our people. And when I say our people, I'm talking of all the marginalized white, black, colored, and Indian people. And I'm listening to Mr. Tau here saying that he will rather vote for the DA. He's still a DA by heart, it seems, because the DA, the ANC, the EFF, and Freedom Front are all useless. They cannot guarantee a white person, a black person, a colored or Indian person a job.
But you're going to work with them nonetheless.
I didn't say that. I said if it benefits my people, if it benefits my people. But I still think that, I still think, yes, of course, because why am I here? I am here to make things better for my people.
Sure.
Then if that is not my Stephen, if that is not what I'm here for, then I can just leave everything. That is what the Patriotic Alliance is here for. We're going to fix this mess, we're going to fix this country, and we're starting with our municipalities.
Grandi, Theunissen, you and the ActionSA actually share a view on who you'll do coalitions with. You won't say who you'll do coalitions with, but you also, like ActionSA, say you won't do coalitions with the ANC, and yet the ANC in Tshwane stands a pretty good chance of having more seats than anyone else. Aren't you cutting off your options here?
Definitely not. We will not go into a coalition with the ANC or the EFF for that matter. We've got a different stance on this whole thing where there's not a majority party that can actually govern the city on its own. We feel there's other ways that it can be done. One of the most effective ways would be to have an executive council, which will then be comprised of all the parties on a proportional basis. In that way, you will not give one person, the mayor, the executive mayor, all the power. It will be held by council itself, and your executive council will be accountable to the council and have to report to the council, although there are delegated powers to the executive committee, but that will be a collective decision. And in that sense, I think all parties would have the opportunity to make submissions, to make provision, and to ensure that the people that they are representing will benefit from that. So I would personally, if I could make the choice, go that route. I can speak from experience. I was in a town called Ermelo, or nowadays Umsukalikwa municipality, and I served in an executive committee since about 1995 to 2003 that was structured in that way. And we had quite a lot of successes until they changed the system there and they made it an executive mayoral committee. And that's where things started falling apart. The ANC, they've got a track record. They asked for forgiveness, but there's no repentance. Even as we speak, there are still some things coming out on all the corruption and everything that's happened. So definitely not the ANC, because they cannot be trusted. The EFF, they're breaking down. They are not willing to build. Our communities have built. We've built quite a lot of institutions. We're still in the process of building more. And we will take hands with other parties who share our values And what are our primary values? It's first of all...
Right, Mr. Theunissen, I do apologize. It's the second time you've been cut off in this debate. I'm sure you're used to it. Thanks very much indeed for your time. From the Freedom Front Plus, the mayoral candidate, Virginia Keppler is the Patriotic Alliance's deputy mayoral candidate in the city of Tshwane, and Abel Tau is the mayoral candidate for ActionSA. Anyone notice, Kathy, that they're all wearing a shade of green in some way?
Oh no, we're not going to get into this debate right now. Thank you all for joining us today. Okay.